you feel comfortable telling us about Dom Sheep?
Yeah, it's probably a couple of weeks away. Yeah, so he had a follow-up scan Thursday morning, hoping to play this week. So it just hasn't healed yet, the throat. So we've got to give it some time. So it'll be a couple of weeks.
So it was a fracture of the larynx?
No, I'm not sure if it was a fracture, but the swelling has to go down to a point where it's safe, and it hasn't gone down yet. So I don't think it's disastrous, but it's just got to take a bit of time.
I wanted to ask you about young True. I don't know if he's playing or not, but it's such a great thing, isn't it, that he's knocking on the door. After what he's been.
Yeah. Well, I mean, him and Bazzo have gone through a really difficult pre-season, but the resilience they've shown has been first class, and football's been secondary. But yeah, True is at AFL standard. We think at waffle level. For the most part, he's running the numbers that suggest that he can handle AFL better than probably when he debuted last year, I think. So, whether it's this week, next week, weeks to come, time will tell. But, yeah, he's not far off.
Speaking of the other bloke, though, and that one was Bazzo. I watched him at the weekend against South Fremantle, and he was excellent against some bigger bodies. How close was he to play?
Oh, he's a little bit off. Yep. So he's sort of just getting back into it. So he's not even playing full minutes yet. So he's just... He's finding his way, but he played some good games for us last year, and he's not too far away, but he's not ready just yet.
And Shannon, was that a hard decision to make, to manage him with their forward line and stuff?
Yeah, it was a hard decision, especially the way he trained yesterday. But he's flagging, and we planned this a while out. He's 30 something, and yeah, we want to get him through the year. So as much as I've been pushing for him to play. Yeah, he's not right to play, but he's not injured. It's management, and we're not the first club to do it, and we've got to stick to our guns.
And how close were you to resting the young fella, Jimmy?
No, it's probably more managing during the week. These kids can come and do everything, which is great, training wise, but we just pull back his minutes of training, and he had a lighter week, so he's good to go.
How do you handle Cameron after what you saw on Monday?
He's pretty good. Yeah, he's probably the competition's best player at the moment. That's saying something for non-mid. So yeah, it's going to be a real challenge for us. But put a couple of things in place. Obviously a bit battle weary down back. But yeah, we'll put a couple of things in place and see how we go.
Is Edwards and Rotham part of that, or potentially part of that?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, the team doesn't come out yet, so I'd rather just hold our fire a little bit, but yeah, we've got Barras, Yo will play down back, and then there's those boys you spoke about. So we'll put a plan together, and probably just the main plan is to keep it away from the forward line. That would be the first plan.
Could you throw Yowie at him? Could that be Yo versus...
Possibly, yeah. I mean, we've had, I think Brad Shepherd's done it in the past as well with good results. So yeah, he's in really good form though. So yeah, a lot of it's him, and a lot of it's the supply too that he got.
Is he unique, Adam? I mean, everyone's a bit different, but he plays that role very differently, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, it's his own role. Yeah, because he gets up the ground, and he seems to be one of the fittest players on the ground, and then he finishes off his work too. So he's the complete player at the moment. So real challenge for us. And then Hawkins is not too shabby either. So he hit some form on the weekend.
Their ability to not just kick them but create them for others as well, that's kind of something that they value add with, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think Cameron's probably at stages kept them in the game with some of the things he's done individually, but the collective took over in that second half, and we all saw what we've probably seen for a few years now with Geelong. It's not just one player. So it's what they do with their experience, their system, their method around the contest, the aggressive nature of their backs run. So yeah, it's a first class side. I don't know how many premiership players are playing this week, but probably 18 or 19.
So what did you see? They seem to get it started at stoppage.
Yeah.
In the third quarter, what did you see that you need to watch out for?
I think it's pretty obvious for everyone. When they've struggled around the contest and stoppage area. When they've put the foot down, in particular in that second half, it's been around that area. So the game's pretty simple at the moment. You get good supply, you get opportunity to score, and an opportunity to keep the ball in your front half. And we're really aware of that. That's how Melbourne go about it. That's how Geelong go about it. That's how we'd like to go about it. So that's a challenge for us.
So do you throw Ruben in against Dangerfield, just to give him the full experience of the...
It's not like he hasn't had much in the last few weeks. So, we've got some young players. It's actually, as much as it's a challenge at the moment, we've hit a bad run again with injuries. We've got some real opportunity to play some of these kids and some of the younger players who are fit, ready to go. And it's a bit different than in the past when, just making up the numbers with the side. We've got some opportunity to grow some of our players, and giving them opportunities on A+ talent is something we'll continue to do. And Ruben, no doubt, will get to stages where he's on some pretty good players.
And Hewitt, you went the other way. Sorry, you went the other way with Hewitt, didn't you?
Yeah. He needs now to go back and get some form, play a bit more in the midfield, express himself a little bit there, and when he comes back in with a bit of game sense, game confidence. So, that's all part of the plan.
So you mentioned, the injury run. Tom Cole, how bad is it? And it must be frustrating for him. Same ankle.
Yeah. We don't know the full extent. His specialist is on holidays at the moment. So, but it's going to be weeks. So we'll get a full report probably midweek. He didn't redo the ankle, but it's around the same area. So it's a different issue, more stress related than anything. So that's really disappointing for him. He's put together a really good pre-season and he was just starting to find some form. So it's really disappointing. We don't know the full extent, but it'll be weeks.
So stress related, so not necessarily an incident from the game, just a bit.
No. If he redid that ankle the way he did it last year, he'd never play again. So no, it's more of a reaction to the comeback, and that's the issue you have with these guys who missed a full year. It's difficult to come back and just be seamless. So there's always going to be some challenges. It's just unfortunate. It's going to be longer than 1 or 2 weeks.
We know the Cats have a bit of a stranglehold on Cardinia Park. Is it nice to sort of maybe play them on a bit more of an even playing field?
I think we've got a pretty good record at Adelaide Oval. So we'll use that to our advantage.
What do you think? What sort of nick do you think it'll be in by Sunday with all those?
I think it'll be fine. It's one of the best ovals in the competition. It holds up really well, so I can't see that being an issue.
Adam, you spoke about managing players before with Shannon. Bailey Williams has essentially for 4 weeks been rucking almost one out at different times.
Yep.
Jamison was there and he's had some help, but he's doing it immensely bravely. How long before you probably have to look at someone managing him? I know there's not a lot of options out there.
There's no options. He's just got to be resilient and tough and stand up for us. And I'm really proud of what he's done in the last 3 weeks in particular. He's managed his body. He's been a bit beat up, but we need him. So there's this resilience piece with the side and what we're going through, and even the second half of that Fremantle game, that I think a few guys grew, and he's one of them.
How are you doing as a coach, and how is this testing you?
I get asked once a month now, how are you feeling and how are you going? So I'm okay. It's appreciate the question, but it's just we've just been hit, and unfortunately we've been hit again. So I don't know how many of our supposed best 22 are unavailable. It's probably 8 or 9 again. So that does create opportunity. So, and the youth in our side is a little bit different. So we're going to leverage off the positives. And we're playing some bloody good sides the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's just, you get Geelong and Melbourne, and in Fremantle top 5 last year. So it's not an easy comp. You need everything to go right to be really competitive, and we've just been unfortunate in the last 3 weeks. I think you've all seen what's happened. So we're just going to stay positive and be as resilient as we can, and that includes the coach.
Without going into selection, you said you're giving opportunities. How important is it for guys like O'Neill, Petruccelli, True, and those kind of guys that are in that mid-age range to stand up and say, look, we want to, be
this is
part
a
of
great test for them. Yep, they're fit, they're ready to go. So the opportunity's right there. You've always known the demographic of our list has been, we've got some older guys and we've got some really young guys. And the guys in the middle, we really need them. So, now's the time.
Are you assessing the viability of your older guys as you go as well? Because you've got a few that are into that, past the 31 mark where they get almost into 1 year contract sort of territory.
Yeah, it's how we manage the list in the next 2 or 3 years. I think it's foolish just to cut everyone off and, thank you and goodbye. And then, finding that balance is a challenge because, I think we've got 4 or 5 players over 30 not playing this week. We like to think that's not going to be the pattern, but that's what's happening at the moment. So we'll manage that as best we can, and we need the experience as we grow these kids, and it doesn't happen overnight.
How do you view Nick in that sense, given the footy he missed last year and the footy he looks likely to miss this year?
Well, he's looking really good pre-season. Yeah, we're really, really happy with what he was doing and where he's trending. And then the Achilles popped up. So, he's hopefully he's turned the corner, and we'll see him again, around the bye, just after the bye. But that's the challenge Nick's working with. So it's hard to predict those things. But pre-season he's looking good.
Luce Bowley epitomises that issue of opportunity. He would seem almost ready-made replacement for Tom Cole. He's shown he can play at this level when he's had his opportunity. Is he going to see some game time this week or next, you think?
Well, we'll find out at 5:30 tonight. Nice try. But the fact is, these guys are going to get opportunity. Yeah, that's whether it's this week, next month. We'll find a lot about our list in the next 9 and 10 weeks. And unfortunately, I think there's probably 4 or 5 long-term injuries that have popped up, which, once again, is disappointing because they're high-end talent, but it's just opportunity for others to express themselves as best they can with, what we're trying to chase.
Would you expect to get Elliott into the midfield at any stage on Sunday?
Don't know. Yeah, he's, we thought his best football when he came back last year was down back, and I'm going to stick to that plan at this stage, but that's not to say we can't throw him in the middle there. But no, I think we'll keep him down back.
Is Jai Kelly... How did he go last week, do you think?
Yeah, look, I thought it was a challenge for all those young players. His first game for a while, he's 19, and he was playing on Petrarca. So I think we've got to cut a little bit of slack, albeit, we're hoping he can step up again this week, and he might be on Dangerfield. He might be on Guthrie or Dunk. So these couple of weeks that we've dealt with, it's just a good opportunity to see where young players are at. But the expectations are that they don't come out and their best on ground, but they give us something in the midfield, they contribute with what we're trying to do, and they get to play to their strengths. So that's what we'll aim for with Jai.
How have you found the forward line, Joe, in this first month of the season, particularly with Alan coming back from injury, Noah Long sort of making his mark, Jake Waterman taking on a bigger role?
Yeah, it's just unfortunate we lost Cripps and Ryan a few weeks ago, because I thought it was pretty damaging, particularly around 2. So now once again, opportunity arises for some other young players. Long's been first class with his start to his career, like he's 18 too, I think. And he's got a really mature footy brain. So, and he's taken on the responsibility in our front half, which is great for an 18-year-old. But the other guys that come into the side to help support that, Patrici Seaton and Petruccelli will play this week. So, them stepping up and playing their role is really important. And having Alan and Darling together is, we can see some real future with that.
You can't afford to have Darling have a flat game again, though, can you? A bit flat last week.
We missed a couple of shots that he normally would just, eat up. So, we don't want to have to rely on one player, to succeed. So we really want to play to a system that gives good supply, good pressure up the ground, and I think the entries dried up a little bit. We must have been low 40s or high 30s with our forward 50 entries, and it's hard to put a finger on a forward when that happens. It's just you got to take the most of your opportunities is probably what you're talking about. So, and that's fair enough.
Do you like gather round?
Well, I haven't seen it yet. It looks like it's a winner, doesn't it? It looks like it's something that every state's really going to chase. Not just the football. I think the tourism and the state gets to show off all the opportunities you have when you travel there. So that seems to be what's happening in Adelaide and South Australia. I think every game's just sell out, and I'm sure if we got it here, it'd be the same. So I think it's a winner for the state as much as it is for AFL.
You would love to have it in Western Australia?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So.
How do you find the balance at the selection table, particularly among getting those, younger boys game time, but also making sure they have those experienced heads around them and not, throwing them to the wolves, so to speak?
Oh, that's a good plan. We don't have that many options at the moment. I think we've got 12 or 14 injuries. So when it gets to that, it becomes more who's up next rather than the balance. I thought the balance was looking pretty good there a few weeks ago with, 3 or 4 kids coming in or, 22 and unders, mixing with McGoverns and those types. Now it's probably just tilted a little bit, But that's okay. That, like I said earlier, it just gives them opportunity.
And the longer term injuries, some of those guys, when do you start looking at maybe seeing if they can't get back this year, putting them on the inactive list and looking at the mid-season draft to see if you can find another Cully or...
Yeah, no, at the moment we think they're all going to return. So that's the plan at the moment. Until it deviates, we'll stick to that.
And you are coming home after this game, even though it's a 6-day break? What was the
Yeah, well, you know, we travel a lot, and I know Fremantle stayed over, and that's, you know, they're a different phase than us. We've still got plenty of families, you know, with children, and we sort of think the longer you spend time in your own bed, the better by the end of the year. But that's not to say, you know, we wouldn't do it next year. But just this year, the way we looked at it, we thought, you know, it's a 2-hour flight, get in, get out, and, you know, back up again next week.
How many players does Robbie Wiley have, Simo?
No, not many. Maybe, yeah, 5 or 6, which, you know, that's unfortunate. But, you know, every time we lose a player, he loses a player. But they you know, I thought they, similar to us and the seniors last week, they put up a fair fight, and they're chasing something as well. And as long as they play with spirit, we'll be okay. It's just, it's frustrating for Rob. He likes to win, as we all do.
Did Harry Edwards hurt his wrist yesterday, and is he okay?
He got a knock on it, and he's okay.